Hello grade 8s and welcome back to Worksheet Cloud. This is grade 8 English and I'm Mrs. Goslet and I'll be teaching you today. If you have a question during the lesson, please send us an email with your question to grade8@worksheetcloud.com. Right, let's get into it. So we did an introduction to Romeo and Juliet. So today we're actually going to look at A Midsummer Night's Dream. Now I love teaching this to my grade 8s because it is just a fun play. It's a comedy, there's some romance and some mischief that happens. So my learners thoroughly enjoy it. And I'm sure you will as well. So we're just going to go through a little bit of a plot summary just to whet your appetite and to get excited. Maybe some of you are starting this at your school, or yeah, I'm just getting so excited. So let's look at it together. So Midsummer Night's Dream opens with Theseus and Hippolyta planning their wedding, which takes place in 4 days. I must admit that many of the characters' names I do get wrong, so I do apologize. I think you'll see now we talk about Titania, and I think for 2 years I was calling her Titania. Yeah, so some of these names I get wrong, so I do apologize, but I think I get it right most of the time. So Hermia is in love with Lysander, so that is quite sweet, and she stands up to her father. So here it says her father wants her to marry Demetrius. He declares that if Hermia won't marry Demetrius, she will die. Well, there's sort of 3 options. Okay, she has to either marry him, or she has to become a nun, or he's going to have her killed. I mean, that's a bit harsh as a parent. Just because you want her to marry someone, now she must do it or marry who he wants. But that's difficult because she's in love with Lysander. So she's very brave. She stands up to her father. She says she doesn't want to. Demetrius is eager. He really likes Hermia, so he's willing to marry her. And Lysander is sort of stuck. Lysander and Hermia decide to escape to Athens. So they decide they're going to elope, they're going to run away, and they're going to live happily ever after. But Hermia tells this plan to Helena. So Helena, we all chat more about her, but she is in love with Demetrius. Oh dear, poor Helena. So you can't really call it a love triangle, and I'll try to explain it to the best of my ability, because no one is in love with Helena. So Hermia is actually the winning character, if we can say that, because she has Lysander who loves her, and she has Demetrius chasing after her. And then you have Helena who's running after Demetrius. She's jealous of Hermia. She doesn't really care about Lysander, but later on you'll see that Lysander actually starts chasing after Helena because of the magic potion that the fairies, well, Puck actually gets confused, but we'll get there now. So that's the 4 lovers, or let's say just the Athenian characters. So we have the humans. Then we have the fairy queen, Titania, not Titania, and the fairy king Oberon, but we just refer to them as Titania and Oberon. Now what I really like about Titania is that she's strong, and you'll see in a later scene that we're going to look at, she stands up to him. She wants to look after this Indian boy that she is going to raise. So the Indian boy's mom dies and she takes custody, and Oberon is not happy. So he wants to try and play a trick on her and play a little lesson. So Puck is his jester. Okay, so It's almost like his right-hand man. He goes and does everything that Oberon wants, and Puck is a troublemaker. He's mischievous. He likes to do things for a laugh. So he goes to look for this plant that Oberon wants, because Oberon wants to play a trick on Titania, because they're having this argument. And this plant is called Love in Idleness, the juice of which makes any person dote, which just means fall in love, on the next creature or whatever they see when they wake up. So Oberon instructs Puck to put some of that love potion in Demetrius's eyes, because what happens is Lysander and Hermia run away to the forest or the woods, and this is where all of this action takes place. So anyway, what was I saying? It can be a bit confusing, but once you start reading it and understanding, then you'll understand, if that makes sense. So Oberon feels sorry for Helena. See how confusing it gets? Hermia, Helena. So he feels sorry for Helena because Demetrius doesn't love her. So what he wanted Puck to do, Oberon wants Puck to pour it into Demetrius's eyes, so that when Helena wakes up, or when they both wake up, he will see Helena and he will fall in love with her. Okay, but things don't always go as planned. So Puck mistakes Lysander for Demetrius. So this is where the whole plan goes awry. Lysander gets the love juice, and Lysander falls in love with Helena. And then, still in pursuit of Demetrius, Helena wanders past and awakens the sleeping Lysander. He immediately falls in love with her. Okay, so that was the mistake. When Titania falls asleep, now this was the original plan, Oberon squeezes the love juice in her eyes, because he wants her to fall in love with a hideous creature or something funny. So what happens is Puck then meets these actors. So we have an actor called Bottom. His name is Nick Bottom, and he thinks he's amazing. He wants to play all the parts. So when the director's he says, you will play this part, and then or there's the part of the lion, and Bottom goes, I can play the lion, I can play Pyramus, I can play Thisbe. So he wants to play all the parts. He's just super eager and thinks he's really good at acting. So Puck wants to play a joke on him, and he actually turns his head into a donkey's head. So Bottom is unaware of the transformation and walks through the woods, waking Titania. So when they bump into each other, Titania wakes up and she falls in love with him, and she tells him how handsome he is, and when he laughs like a donkey. So it's quite entertaining and quite funny for the audience to watch this, because Titania has no idea. Oberon is laughing at her because she only has eyes for Bottom, and he thinks it's hilarious. Oberon's plan is now complete, so he releases her from the spell. So then he thinks, okay, this is enough. We've had our fun. We'll release her from this plan, and Puck has to also remove the donkey's head from Bottom. But he never realizes what actually happened. I went too far, got too excited. I do apologize. So then what happens is, Puck has to sort it out. But both Lysander and Demetrius have that love potion, the spell on them, and they are both in love with Helena. Now Helena thinks that they're mocking her because they didn't like her, and Lysander loves Hermia, so she can't understand what's going on. So before a serious fight breaks out between Demetrius and Lysander, Helena and Hermia fight as well, because she can't understand why she wakes up and Lysander's just left her and is all after Helena. So it's a whole big confusion. Oberon has Puck create a fog that will keep the lovers from finding one another. So he tires them out, and then they all sort of can't find one another and they fall asleep. So while they're sleeping, Puck reverses the spell on Lysander. He also casts a spell so none of the lovers will remember what has happened in the woods. So do you notice he doesn't remove it from Demetrius? So at least he can have Demetrius still loving Helena. Lysander will wake up and forget and still love Hermia, so all will be well. In the final scene, the joyous lovers enters, and Theseus decides it's time to plan festivities, because remember, Hermia's father went out looking for them, and then, you know, we always end off with a good ending. So Nick Bottom and his crew then perform the Pyramus and Thisbe play, and we call actors players. So the players finally present their hilarious play. It's really bad, but everyone really enjoys it because it's so funny, because things just go wrong. Sorry, I seem to always sneeze. I apologize. Okay, then I just want to share with you, this is very important. Shakespeare, whenever you can always tell your teacher this, he always does 5 acts, always. Obviously the scenes depend on his plays, but you can always count on it always being 5 acts. So Midsummer Night's Dream is divided into acts, Act 1 to Act 5, and then it's subdivided into different scenes. So we have 2 sort of worlds. One is the human world and the second one is the fairy world, but they kind of intertwine. Act 1 and Act 5 are the human world, and then Act 2, 3 and 4 look at the fairy world, and they're in the woods or the forest. But the humans are all in here, and it meshes with the fairies. And the fairies intervene or interfere with the humans and try and fix up their little love triangle. Can't call it a love triangle. I don't even know what it's called. Okay, so this is quite important. There are 3 different types of groupings of characters. So if we look here, we have the Athenians, and I'll show you on a nice diagram what that looks like. The fairies, and then the acting crew. They're called the mechanicals because their jobs aren't acting. They're like carpenters, and they do normal jobs, but then they want to act. Obviously that's their passion, and they want to put on a play. So here I've got the fairies. I probably should have had the mechanicals, but I didn't actually get any pictures of them. So here's Puck over here, the Jester, the Joker, and Oberon. This is from a movie. Here's Titania, and you can see this is Nick Bottom. You can see he's transformed into a donkey, just his head. And then we've got Demetrius. I think he's very handsome because he's actually the actor from Batman way back when. And then I love this actress, and that's Helena. Helena grows on you, but in the beginning she's quite what's a nice word, annoying, because no, she's desperate and you feel bad for her. You almost just want to tell her, he doesn't like you, stop running after him. But I'm so glad they end up together. Happy for her. Okay, then, so here are our Athenians, you can see here. So these are minor characters, they getting married. Here's Lysander and Hermia. You can see there's an arrow connecting them. They're lovers. Then you can see here's the daughter of, he prefers, and then Demetrius actually likes Hermia. Then poor Helena's just got 1 arrow because she is in love, or in love with Demetrius. Then you have the fairy world. Here all the little fairies, they're called Cobweb, Mustard Seed, all these interesting cute names. Then you have a little Indian boy, and this causes the conflict. And so Oberon wants to start this whole trick playing on Titania. And then they happen to bump into the Athenian lovers, and then they decide, let's try get Demetrius to actually fall in love with Helena. Then here are all the mechanicals: Snug, Flute, Quince, Bottom, Snout, Starveling, and they will all become different parts in the play of Pyramus and Thisbe. And then we have Puck on the outside here. I'll show you Puck. Okay, so he doesn't really look like a donkey in this image, but he is a human who gets turned into a donkey, and it's quite comedic. Right, so here's a picture from the movie. That is Hermia and Lysander. So they are getting ready to run away. Then I've just got a little diagram just to maybe help you understand, because this is the biggest confusion that happens. Is the green arrows just mean they love each other, and then you can see Demetrius is after Hermia and Helena runs after Demetrius. So if you get confused in exams, always maybe just draw it, because sometimes pictures can help us remember or understand better. Alright, then there's always themes, symbols. Themes are very important. It's the message. And the main message, well, not message, but themes that will come up will be love, jealousy. So Helena is jealous of Hermia because she just wants Demetrius to love her. Dreams. So they think they had this dream, but it was actual magic and reality. And then we got magic. So we have that love in idleness flower that gets put on their eyes and changes the fate and destiny of Demetrius's love. Transformation, we have Nick Bottom, who transforms into a donkey. Then symbols in the play, and I've just got here an explanation in case you're not 100% sure, but symbols are objects, characters, figures, and colors used to represent abstract ideas or concepts. So the love potion, it is showing us that it's powerful. It can change the nature of love, and it also leads to very bizarre behavior. So for Helena, she's very confused when Lysander, the man who is loyal and in love with Hermia, just flips a switch and just falls in love with her. So she thinks he's mocking her. And then, to make matters worse, the man she's been after, Demetrius, also flips a switch and just is after her. So she thinks it's too good to be true. She feels mocked, and then good old Hermia picks a fight with her, and they have a bit of a fight. It's really supposed to be funny. This is one of Shakespeare's light-hearted plays, I would say, and that's why I thoroughly enjoy it, because in grade 10, 11 and 12 we normally do quite serious plays. Macbeth, very serious and tragic. Othello, that's my number one, absolute number one favorite. I really hope you guys will get a chance to do Othello. You will love it. Macbeth is more for people who like action and war and fighting and keeping the crown, that type of thing. Othello is just, I can't explain it. It's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Then at the moment in grade 12 we're doing Hamlet. I'm really enjoying Hamlet, but it does take a long time to get to the action of what is actually going to happen, and the action is big. It's huge. But yeah, that's why Midsummer Night's Dream is so nice to do in grade 8. It's light, it's funny. It is a bit confusing at times, but that's also what's nice is in grade 8 and grade 9 we don't do such let's say in-depth questions or detailed essays that you must now analyze the characters and the themes and come up with them. Yeah, so that's really nice. But I hope you enjoyed Midsummer Night's Dream introduction, and I hope that you guys are doing it at school and that you're enjoying it. There's a little activity for you guys to do on today's lesson, and if you have any questions, please send us a little email with grade8@worksheetcloud.com. We'd love to hear from you, and I hope you are all doing really well. I saw this, and you know, I always do a motivational little quote for the day just to get us going, and this is quite interesting. Sometimes you just have to put on lip gloss and pretend to be psyched. So this is one of, sometimes we have those days where we don't feel like it, but if you just fake it till you make it and you pretend you're having a good day, it actually turns your day around. Because if you say, oh, I'm so over this day, or you're negative, or oh, I just want to go home, because sometimes we feel like that, especially when it's cold weather and it's storming outside, and now you're in the classroom and you know you can't go outside for break, or you know you're just not enjoying it, and then you have this like dampener, this dark cloud over you, and the day just feels like it gets longer. But if you just put on that lip gloss, I don't wear lip gloss, but you put on that smile and you just change your attitude and you say, I'm gonna get through this. And it's almost like what I said, fake it till you make it kind of thing, which you got to pretend to be psyched, and sometimes that pretense will hopefully turn into a good attitude. And I'm not saying you must pretend if you're not feeling well, or I mean, like, if you're not having a good day, then definitely share that with your close friends and hopefully they'll pull you out of it. But yeah, I hope that helps grade 8s, and I hope that you thoroughly enjoyed this lesson. Thanks so much for watching. This lesson was brought to you by Worksheet Cloud. I'm Mrs. Goslet. Over and out. Goodbye.